What's going on, guys? It's Arrow. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Path of Exile 1. We are officially back to PoE 1 leagues. Grinding Gear Games has formally stated that they are going to be putting out leagues every 4 months for PoE 1 and also every 4 months for PoE 2, meaning a 2-month cycle. With that said, I want to talk to you today about things that I think need to be done in 3.2.6. Buffs, nerfs, changes. Let's dive right in. So let's start with one of the things that was on my wish list that has already been completed, and that is Veiled Orbs. The Veiled Chaos Orb is back. A while back, the Veiled Chaos Orb was reworked to remove one modifier and add one modifier that was veiled. Veiled mods are incredibly powerful, but what happened was these orbs became extremely expensive because you could only get them from a tier 4 room in Betrayal. This made it so that mid-tier crafting was incredibly limited. Spending 2 divines to lock your suffixes and then using a Veiled Chaos Orb and a block in order to get move speed on boots was an incredibly powerful way to move your gear forward in the mid-game. Tons of mid-game crafts were removed from the game when this veiled change happened, but now it is back. The Veiled Chaos Orb has returned in its old glory, and they are keeping the Veiled Exalted Orb, which is still going to let you have the effect that replaces a mod with a Veiled mod. So with both of these orbs in the game, hopefully they are more common and allow us to get back to mid-game crafting, which is one of the things that makes PoE so fun. So besides what they've already done, what do I want to see changed in PoE 1 3.2.6? Let's start with nerfing some of the overpowered skills. When Melee was reworked and got a ton of buffs, it was really good for a lot of melee skills. A lot of slams became viable, but the problem is it buffed skills that were already strong, like Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike has the ability to hit multiple times. It has a melee tag, which means it gets all the benefits of being melee, but all the benefits of being a projectile-based skill as well. On top of that, it has one of the best vol skills in the game, and it's overall simply so strong, it's hard to recommend other attack-based skills. It also happens to work really well with the Ephemeral Edge Sword, which is very powerful in combination with the Trickster, which is also very powerful, leading to a situation where you have a particular skill and a particular archetype that just works better than just about anything in the game. Whenever you have that, you create FOMO for other people, and no one wants to play anything other than the best. As we saw in PoE 2 with Lightning Spear, when this runs away, it can become a big problem. The second thing that I think needs to be nerfed is Archmage. Archmage is so strong that there's really no reason to play any other self-cast spell that isn't using Archmage. What makes PoE great is that you feel like there are reasons to play lots of different skills, whether it's quality of life or speed, fun, power. There's lots of different good reasons to play things, but right now the power level of Archmage is so high that it doesn't feel like anything else is worth it. So I do think Archmage needs to be nerfed, but that brings me to number 2. I think self-casting needs to be significantly buffed. They added things like Intensify and Pinpoint, which allow you to get AoE and projectile spells to have more power for clear and single target. And these things only work when they're not triggered or put on mines. And I really like these support gems. But the problem is it's not quite enough. The power level of cast on crit triggers or mines or traps or totems means that self-casting a spell is very rarely worth it. I think there needs to be more power in self-cast, whether that's more support gems, whether that's adding more cast speed to the tree, adding cast speed to the gems. Some things need to change, and self-cast is very high in the list. Another reason that self-casting is bad brings me to number 3. I think there needs to be major defensive reworks for the top and right side of the tree because there simply are not enough choices for how to get tanky. On the top of the tree, at League Start, there really are no options. If you want to play a witch on a League Start, good luck. The top and right of the tree were gutted when physical damage taken as was removed from the game. Now, there are still a couple of sources of it, but it's much harder to get and is no longer a viable defensive layer. The top of the tree doesn't have access really to any evasion or armor, which means all it can scale is Energy Shield. Energy Shield by itself isn't really a defensive layer, it is a health pool. That means that anybody that wants to play on the top right side of the tree is probably just going to go Trickster. Trickster is incredibly powerful defensively and offensively, giving you access to huge amounts of evasion and Energy Shield, as well as really powerful spell mitigation. I think some sort of defensive layer similar to Fizz Taken As needs to return, or else people are going to continue to flock away from that side of the tree or continue to flock to Trickster. And talking about Trickster, that brings me to my next one. Man, I am really hitting the segues today. I think there needs to be some serious looks at some of the ascendancies. Right now, for Shadow, you have Trickster that is easily the best of the Shadow and maybe the best ascendancy in the game. And then you have Assassin and Saboteur, which feel like they are just worse versions of Trickster with pretty much anything you throw at them. Saboteur still has its place with traps, but traps are not in a great place right now. You're almost always better off going mines. And if you're going to go mines, you might as well go Trickster. If you want to play a crit build, there's tons of crit on the tree. There's good crit support gems. You can get crit all over your gear. So getting to crit cap is not very difficult, which means Assassin's crit-based stuff is not very valuable. So if you want to play a crit build, you might as well go Trickster. If you want to play a poison crit build, well, you still get all that crit, and then you can just steal one of the assassin nodes and go Trickster. My point is, it doesn't feel like there's a good reason to go assassin or saboteur over Trickster in pretty much any situation. Again, that is not great for the game. There needs to be good reasons to take an ascendancy, and I think assassin and saboteur both deserve a long look. The last thing I want to talk about is Scarabs. This is something that I had on my wish list for 325 because I think there are simply too many Scarabs in the game, number one, and there are too many useless Scarabs. We can start with the Scarabs that add things to your map. Breaches, getting 2 breaches in a map is great. Getting a Legion in a map is great because you can get a bunch of these things. However, to add Deli to a map with a Scarab almost never makes sense. Seeing as if you're investing in Delirium, you're going to be pathing to the Delirium nodes on the tree. These nodes give you base chance to get Delirious on your maps, so if you're investing into a thing, you're already getting a 100% chance to get it. That makes these Blight, Delirious type Scarabs completely useless. And I don't just mean bad, but they are actually useless outside of an SSF scenario. There are so many Scarabs that don't get used because they simply just aren't powerful enough or they're not interesting. I did a lot of testing in 325 considering it was 11 years long and found that most of those underused Scarabs are underused for a reason. There's not a lot hiding in the shadows with these Scarabs. I tried a lot of min-maxing strategies with weird Scarabs that look like they might have a use and they just simply don't. I'd like GGG to do some consolidating or some serious reworking of a lot of these Scarabs to give us interesting interactions that'll make us want to try new things. So we are 2 days away from the live stream reveal of 326. It feels like it has been an eternity. I am so excited to get back into PoE 1. I am doing that over on my stream, twitch.tv/AER0__. But I am also excited to get back into regular content. I know this YouTube channel has been effectively dormant outside of my shorts, but you can expect regular content from me once again. So like, comment, subscribe, make sure you stop by my Twitch. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for watching. And as always, take care.